How do you build a learning culture when there is no budget, no project, and no official permission to start? Welcome to AI Made Simple, the transformation series. I'm Valeriya, and I talk with global leaders, innovators, and practitioners who are shaping the future of work in the age of AI. In this episode, I'm joined by Shakil Awan, squad lead and product manager for Lex, Learning from Experts at Deutsche Telekom, where he transformed a simple idea into a 17,000 member peer-to-peer learning community with over 6,000 sessions per year. We talk about why self-organized communities often fail without people given charge to lead them, what it actually takes to motivate employees to share knowledge voluntarily, why Lex started with yoga sessions instead of business topics, and what leaders get wrong when building internal champions communities. Shakil, welcome to the podcast. I'm very happy to have you here with us today.
Hello.
Um,
Thank you.
Before we dive into Lex and its success, you have a very interesting background. I'd love to start with you. You studied nutritional science. You spent many years in IT and product management, and later transitioned into learning and informal HR-led enablement. How does this journey fit together for you, and how did these different worlds shape the way you think about learning today?
It's good that I did not put or send you the rest because, there's a lot of years in the restaurant business missing, working full-time and part-time, working in a management position and as a simple employee. So how does it all fit? To my humble understanding, everything belongs somehow together. And I read somewhere that you cannot not communicate. And I say you cannot not learn. So you're always learning if you want to or not. And also I believe in that a lot of things you just don't learn in school or, if you visit courses, you just learn it in your day-to-day work or a lot even in your private time.
Absolutely. For those listeners who don't know it yet, tell us more about Lex. So, learning from experts. What is it actually, the initiative? And when I heard the number of hundreds of sessions being held every day, I was shocked. Tell us how it all works together and how did this idea came about?
Yes, and not to scare people, it's not hundreds per day. It's actually we have had 6,500 last year and the year before that. But nevertheless, these are great numbers. You just have to imagine it's like 30 sessions in average per day. And what does it actually mean? That means that from morning to evening, we offer peer-to-peer sessions organized by colleagues for colleagues and on various topics, as you have mentioned before. And now come to your question, how did it all start? It started actually as a small idea. And this was in 2017. And that time I was at Deutsche Telekom in Telekom IT. And in that year, new Telekom IT boss came, and I always explained it like he came and saw and said, we need to change something. And he introduced a great program. And you, as the employee at that time, we were about, I think, 10,000 in Germany and all in all. And you could actually take part and help to shape the new IT. And they formed various work streams. How do we work? What do we work? And very soon I was a member of the core team learning. Actually, I wanted to join the core team communication, but I was put into learning. What I liked about this group, we were 14 people out of 5 different countries working on topics, but on ourselves. Nobody came to us and said, you have to work on this or that topic. No, we were able to actually develop the topics that we wanted to work on. And my colleagues came up with great ideas like culture of learning, expert career, and so on and so forth. And I knew at that time that a lot of people struggled using the internet, which we are using at Deutsche Telekom. At that Deutsche Telekom, we have a so-called social enterprise network. In simple words, I always explain it like it's like Facebook at work, but you need to know how to use it. And I said, you know what? I'll just get a colleague. I know he's an expert and he learned everything by himself and he will teach us how to use it. And this is the start of learning from experts, shortly called Lex, A simple idea, which was supposed to just have 14 people, became the largest learning and exchange community for years now within Deutsche Telekom with over 20,000 members. But you don't have to be a member to use Lex. So actually, our reach is much higher or wider than you can see in those numbers. It's well known throughout the world of Deutsche Telekom. And we do not only offer sessions, we have expert lists, we have chat rooms, there's a digital pin board. You can create a learning group, you can join existing learning groups, you can upload videos in our portal, which currently has over 2,000 videos. You can even find the Lex session video of our CEO, Tim Höttges, and other board members. You can exchange books between each other and many more things. So it's not just about sessions. We try to offer much more. And this is all done mostly by volunteers around me.
So it's community-driven learning. And I can imagine that many people meet privately as well. So you enable connections between people. And of course, in this kind of environment where you don't have to go to the workshop, but you actually are willing to go there because you like the topic or the expert, that's where I believe the learning thrives as well. When I work at the companies, and I believe that's something you touched as well, I see often that technology is not the biggest challenge, regardless of whether we talk about AI or whether we talk about internal Facebook, right? And I recently read this very nice analogy. They were talking about button courage or the courage to be the beginner again. So it's not the technology, it's the mindset. And from your experience building Lex, what does it take to create this mindset and continuous learning culture?
I think there is no unique recipe, but what it takes is a lot of courage. Because what you do is actually you enter a world, come with your idea, and then you'll find people who will say, hey, we already have this. This is not new. And then they say, why are you doing this? Who allowed this? Then people will just join you if there's budget. And lots of other things may come in your way. But you have to learn to use these challenges and then believe in your idea. And it won't be easy, I can tell you. I can even remember when I started, but there was lots in the beginning, and we just overcame those hurdles. I mentioned courage, but also I think the English word is diligence. It's like, keep on working. Whatever you achieved yesterday was yesterday. Today is a new day, it's a new challenge. We talked about lots of sessions that we offer. Not all are organized by us, but we make sure that you can find them in our platform. So there's a lot of manual work which needs to be done, which needs to be organized. And we always talk about automation. Of course, when there are interfaces, it may work. But if you don't have those required interfaces and you have to do this manually, and you need to find people who are willing to do this. And so you need diligence and you also need curiosity. Look around, when I come to the office, I just walk through the building to get inspired, to see people, to run into people, to see what's going on, go into the internet, go on LinkedIn and find what colleagues have published recently, approach them, ask them to hold sessions. These are just a few things. And how did we start? There was no project, there was no assignment, there was no budget, there was no management support, even there were no resources. I was by myself, and I found people who wanted to support, and we formed the first Lex team, and then we reorganized new people to join, and Lex is surrounded by great volunteers who help to keep this idea alive, and it gets bigger and it's more and more to do that we have to do every day, but it's a lot of fun also involved.
So you're talking about ownership, right? So you have to you have to own it, and I was reflecting as well about it. Who is responsible for upskilling or reskilling employees or in organizations, preparing the future workforce or preparing each of us for the future? And of course, the company can provide you the learning, but that's up to each individual. That's up to each one of us to take ownership, to take our life in our own hands, and then learn these new skills and improve ourselves to be competitive and indispensable in the future. When I think about you, I always feel this sense of ownership or entrepreneurship, and I think we once also touched it at the Fraport session, that you are in essence an entrepreneur within the company. So it's about building something from scratch. And I think this is the mindset shift that everybody needs, regardless of the
Mhm.
role or position or the status.
Indeed, indeed. You are an entrepreneur in your own company. And I mentioned that I have had experiences in my work life where I was in similar positions before. And it's also where you take charge and you also don't wait
Mhm.
for somebody to come and tell you what to do. You feel like you're doing the right thing. And you do it. And you do it also with passion. Yes, I forgot to mention passion. That's also a key ingredient. Yet you need lots
Right.
of passion. And I can tell you in my case, I always say it sometimes doesn't even feel like work, and you look at the clock and then you wish I could turn back the clock because I want to work more. So I hope no German Worker Council is listening in to this podcast. Yeah, but it helps. It helps when you get into the flow and you just want to keep on dancing in your workplace.
You also mentioned the senior leadership involvement at Lex. And Lex has remained a community driven initiatives, but leadership visibility mattered at key moments. So, can you tell maybe to the listeners as well who are reflecting about grassroots communities or maybe AI champions communities right now? It's a very hot topic in the organizations. Where should leaders step in and where should they intentionally step back?
Let me start with a quote by one of my dear, he was not even a manager, he was one of the owners when I was in the restaurant business. And he always used to say, keep management out of operations. So the top management. And so what can I say? Of course, at some point you need leadership and they help you and you need to know how to make them help you in the right way. So I told you that we have had sessions with board members. We even have a new format since last year. It's called Leaders at Lex. We want to get leaders to come and offer sessions about any topic. And somehow they also function as door openers for their team members. So somebody could say then, if my boss is holding a session, why can I not hold a session? Or maybe they feel inspired. On the other hand, leaders can also sometimes help you to find budget if you require budget and also support you with resources, official resources. And last but not least, any community, in my humble opinion, we always talk about self-organized and self-led and all this. And I don't really believe too much into this. What you need is people who have been given charge to take care of something because at a certain point, it's not something like where you say, we just meet once a month in this room and then we do sketchnoting or this or that. With a platform like this, with thousands of sessions per year and lots of other offers, you need to have people really being allowed to work on these topics and if possible, full time, not just part time. Because if you want something to grow, and then even sustain and develop over time, then you need to have people. And this can only work if management is by your side.
I also see it in my learning journeys that I'm doing for the companies that when leaders are in the room building, like building automations, building assistants, building agents with the teams, that's where I see that the motivation is the highest for the teams as well. And that's where they ask the most questions. That's where they implement a lot. That's where I know it's going to be a successful learning journey, which actually will increase adoption at the end. I believe strongly as well that leadership involvement is very important, not just communicating it, but actually doing it as well alongside others.
Yeah.
What I see that many employees, they attend training, but they struggle to transfer the knowledge into the everyday work. And from thousands of training that you've observed in Lex community, what makes the training stick? So what makes the learning stick? What from all of the sessions that you've seen, what are some practical tips, some of the methods that makes this learning transferable?
Actually, it's a very easy answer. It's probably with any training. If you learn how to ride a bike, let me take my example. I did my driver's license in the early 20s, so actually later than most of the people do it in Germany. And then I drove for probably 5, 6 times, and then I stopped. There was no need. And then years later, I was asked to drive colleagues home when I was in the States, and yeah, they had, let's say, drank a beer or two too much, and they gave me the keys. And there was I. I tell you, they were awake. Yeah. Very, very quick. And make a long story short, you need to be able to apply it. You learn it, and then you come
Mhm.
back, and actually you get back into your own working environment, probably doing the same things like you've been doing over and over, and keep on doing it again the same way like you've been doing it before. But when you learn something, there should be also a space and time and tools, and also you should have work where you can also apply it. So if you learn how to use Power Automate, how to use automate certain working steps, but then you also need to have tasks which you're doing today where you could use it. So I think this is one of the biggest pain points. And sometimes you just look to the left and right. How are you doing it? What is he doing? And then you see people creating songs with AI or creating nice pictures, and you're like, hey, no, I don't want to create a song. I don't want to, I don't need these pictures, the stuff. I need something else. You should be given time to find exactly where it can help you. Be open-minded, and if it doesn't work out right away, it will come. Also have patience. And AI for me is also still, we have been talking about it for a couple of years now, but it's still fresh. It's still coming to us, and let's just learn, observe, and then start slowly using it.
So, giving yourself time, but also for the trainers and learning experts to make it as much hands on as possible, right? Within the training, as much as possible, interactions and exercises and transfer tasks afterwards so people can reflect on what they just heard and actually apply to their own work. Very good advice. A question: do you use any, like, are you experimenting maybe at Deutsche Telekom or at Lex with any AI-driven tools for learning for L&D?
At Deutsche Telekom, we are using a lot of solutions. Let me just concentrate now on Lex. And I told you we're a team of volunteers. So we're trying out things, with the large language models, which we can use to save time. We are about to create a Lex bot with the help of experts. So certain sessions can be found easier within our platform. And we are very open-minded. And we are also at the beginning.
Shakil, what's one piece of advice you would give to business leaders who genuinely want to move towards learn it all organizations, continuous learning culture, especially when continuous learning is no longer optional, but a prerequisite for AI driven work?
Okay, one thing, believe in your experts. Sometimes we think the grass is greener on the other side of the company, and believe in the people you already have in the company. And it's sad to sometimes see that people who would like to open up and share things, and even if it's a not business related thing, let them do it. Let them allow it. You will see how they will be inspired, and be full of energy, and then maybe also come towards business related things. And also not only just use these experts, but also find a way to give incentives to these colleagues. I wish
Mhm.
that our experts would have something in their targets like, where did I help my colleague today? Or, when they offer learning sessions and they do it, that it's also in their targets and they get rewarded for it. Plus, we always talk about learning time. I wish there was something like an official learning time in our work life, like there's a lunch break. So something like, we say, I don't know, every Friday between 10 and 12, nobody will disturb you. This is the time you can use to learn.
I recently saw this very interesting meme on LinkedIn. Person of professional athletes and the typical employees. So professional athletes would have like 90% of their time is training, and then 10% is performing, or even 5%. Whereas the employees, 95% of performing, and then just 5% or 1% of training, like
Yeah.
this one day a year where we all
Yeah.
go to this
Isn't
workshop,
that
right?
sad? This makes me mad when I see these things because, we just we're not given the time to train, or we don't take the time. Even worse, we don't take the time to train. And then we do things, sometimes we're not even sure. We just do it for the sake of it, or somebody told us to do it. And then we don't even know if we did it right. We just need this training time. And let's call it learning hours, or maybe you should just call it training time and then say, look at the athletes. They also get this time. Why don't we get this time? Maybe not 90%, but we need to get this time. And also we need to get time to think about what we're doing. This is also sometimes missing. It cannot be like, when you're in the car driving towards work on the bus, or, or when you're like under the shower and you're like, hey, how should I have done this differently? No, this should be integrated in the daily working time.
Shakil, is there anything else that you would like to share from what we haven't discussed before?
Coming back to Lex, I mean, To the listeners and viewers, if you like to start something similar, informal learning offer in your company, then the first advice I would like to give to you: start small, but start. Don't wait. Don't create a large project team. Don't talk to too many people. Don't ask everybody for if you're allowed to do this. Just do it. Just do it. And when we started, we mostly had yoga and similar things in our session list. And for me, it's fine because it was in demand. And now people could come and say, oh, this is not, you know, business relevant. And I would say, why not? If people are healthy, they can probably get a
Yes.
job, look at the athletes. So, and just start, and then the business topics will come naturally. They will come. This is what I can say.
Thank you. And two quick closing questions. What's your favorite AI tool right now? Just one.
ChatGPT. I'm using this
Okay.
a lot. Yeah.
And one skill you believe will make everyone indispensable in the future.
Be nice. Be a nice person. The rest you can learn.
You can find Shakil Awan on LinkedIn and learn more about Lex and their open sessions for external guests. All links are in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, follow AI Made Simple, the transformation series, for more conversations with practitioners shaping how AI adoption actually happens inside organizations. Thanks for listening.